Normally we are going live right now. I am going to check and we will make sure. But hey, Mark, how you doing? It's John Brewer here with the Supper Club. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of introducing to you a guy who has given me many, many laughs. And bro, I don't even know how we met each other or how I got in touch with you, but you have a group page that absolutely cracks me up. It's hysterical. Can you tell everybody a little more about it?
Yeah, sure. It's called Table Sharks South Florida. It's basically it's a private group for service industry professionals, servers, bartenders, certain managers, no card swipers welcome, owners. Because some of the stuff that I post is kind of offensive to some management because it's really about the staff. It's about the labor side of the industry. And
let me hold you right there because that's a card swipers. What do you mean by that?
Card swiper is like a manager who's just useless. Like he's just there to this guy needs this guy gets the 15% military discount, or this guy
pump this guy's steak, it was overcooked.
Yeah, he's just there literally to keep the card out of the server's hands and swipe it when needed.
And I love it. It reminds me of the movie Office Space. There's a lot of that Office Space in there. For those who don't know Office Space, probably one of the greatest movies ever made. And the subplot is he falls in love with Jennifer Aniston, who works at Tchotchke's. And there's a lot of skewering of restaurant people, the manager and the great employee, the guy with the flair and all that stuff.
The flair,
that's kind of what your group page reminds me of. And yeah, exactly. The humor is not for the faint of heart. And I think, I posted a meme today, or somebody else posted, I don't know if I got it off of your page. I probably did. But it was about how these two restaurant guys are trying to push to stop using profanity in the kitchen. And my attitude was like, yeah, good luck with that, because if you drop a pot of hot water on your foot and you don't yell at least one expletive, or you slice your finger off, or you jab yourself with, a lot of sharp objects in the kitchen, and you don't say an F-bomb or the S word or whatever, I'm sorry. I don't think there's many people who could do that.
Well, right. And what came first, the hard time staffing or limiting the cursing? Because you're going to have a hard time staffing if you limit cursing in the kitchen.
You bring up a great point, and I don't know how close you are with the restaurant business right now. I'm getting requests every day from restaurant people looking to hire staff. Mm-hmm. They're looking for not only hire staff, I think, but good quality staff, and that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit. You posted, the meme I posted before was actually off of your page, and it had all the elements of a good bartender. And, I'm one of those people that loves this industry. I loved my time in the industry. Well, I can't say I loved all my time. There was a time towards the end where I was in my late 30s. It was time for me to get out.
But looking back, even the time you didn't love, you loved, right?
Yeah, I did. I did. I really did. There was always a moment behind the bar where you met somebody special, or you engaged with a celebrity, or your regulars came in and made your day brighter. But yeah, you brought in a lot of the elements, and I'm going to write a blog on what makes a great bartender, because it really is. It is an art form. You're standing up. Number one, you're standing on your feet for more than 10 hours. Number two, you have to have so many recipes in your head, especially now with all the craft cocktails. And you got to have the art of communication. Even when you're not in the mood, you got to have your standard questions and stuff that you do. And so I really appreciated you putting that up. And I appreciate the quality of the humor is really, really specific to people in the restaurant industry. So take the floor. Tell us about table sharks. What is a table shark?
A table shark is someone who doesn't leave a table unserved. Like if there's a pickup table, so to speak, to use the industry term, if there's a pickup table, the table shark's getting it. Like the table shark is, they're at the hostess stand. I hate to say it, table sharks make hostesses cry sometimes.
They do.
It doesn't make me happy to say that. It's just, that's part of the industry where it's, table sharks they don't sugarcoat the things for their staffers. They get the job done. They get the money. They get the hell out of there. They're not ass kissers. They're money getters.
I had a guy, I worked at the Breakers. When I first moved back, I took a job at the Breakers, and I was in management, so I was a card swiper. Forgive me. And we had a guy that showed up for work, and he had a guaranteed gig there for probably the last 10 years. He showed up the day the stone crabs arrived. And that's all he did was sell stone crabs. You sat down at his table and he was like, they're like, what should we get? He's like, stone crabs. Absolutely, stone crabs. You know,
that's a shark.
Yeah, exactly. That's a table shark. You know, he's the guy sitting at the front with, like you say, by the hostess stand going, my section. Okay.
Right.
Totally profiling the guests or whatever. Like, or no, not me.
Yeah.
Don't put him in my section. No. Oh, six top. Yeah. Put him in my section. Put him in my section.
And then he sees that there's 4 kids in the six top. He's like, not my section. Why are you seating me with that? Yeah. No, exactly. And they, you know, they rub people the wrong way, but at the same time, they're always flawless with the guests. You know, it's they rub their coworkers the wrong way, but the guests always get the top-notch experience, and that's honestly what makes them kind of untouchable. Like if your sales are number one and your guests are the happiest and people are asking for you at the host stand, like what's management going to say to you that that you'd be like, all right, then I'll leave. Like, okay, you know, there's no issue that a table shark can't take care of because they are the money. Like in the restaurant industry, like let's face it, we're salesmen. We're glorified salespeople. But it's the unique part about it is the customers come to us. So from the management and the owner's perspective, I could see where they'd be like, well, the people, these are our customers. You're just taking care of them. But it's like, yeah, we're taking phenomenal care of them. We're taking better care of them than anyone you could find on Indeed or Monster or anything like that. So, you know, to get back to the need for good staff, it's, you know, with this pandemic, there's going to be some people who don't ever serve again. They leave the industry and they don't come back. That's just what's going to happen. The herd is thinning, but that also puts the pressure on those who stay in the industry to be better, you know, keep anyone new, any part-timers out of the industry to protect your money. I mean, this should absolutely improve the quality of staff for every restaurant. And if it doesn't, me and John will help you find some staff because
yeah, I'm thinking about bartending. I really am. I know I've been asked to bartend some shifts now, and I would love to get back behind the stick again. So expect to see me soon behind the bar because I do miss it. I don't think I can do 5 a week. I don't think I can pull doubles on Sunday brunch or anything like that anymore. But I would definitely love to get behind the bar a couple of times. So expect to see me maybe doing some pop-up appearances. And you bring up a great point I like with the servers and the table sharks. I'd like to consider myself a table shark, especially when I worked at Gladstone's in Malibu. The difference between 3 turns a night and 2 turns a night is about $100 in your pocket. Mm-hmm. So if I can get that drink order in 5 minutes before, I'm right on top of that table. Hey guys, how you doing? Here's the specials. What do you want to drink? Boom. Bartender gets my drinks out because I tip them a little bit on the side or I buy them a drink when we go out. And then boom, salad, soups are down, everything's coming. I'm not rushing them because I want to get the most tip that I can get out of them, but I'm all over it. You know, as soon as they finish, the plate's up, table's wiped down, next course is served. And then, you know, of course you always come out and you're like, do you guys want coffee or dessert? You're shaking your head no. And then you're like, good, all right, next turn, let's go. What do you guys recommend? Oh, the crab legs, lobster's really good tonight.
Do you guys want dessert?
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like when the you know, because obviously every restaurant gets the pop, like a phase of the night where they're at their peak, you know, business. So during the pop, I'm not schmoozing my tables. I'm giving them good service, but I'm not really like laying on the charm. When it's slower, like, you know, you're only going to get like, yeah, you could of course maximize the amount of tables you get in a night, but you're still only going to get a certain amount of tables in a night. So it's the ones in the beginning and the end, they get the charm. The ones in the middle, they get the efficiency and the, you know, the just the actual quality service. It's the one who in the middle of dinner rush, who's like, I was just talking to my tables. It's like, no, you're not a shark. You're off the page.
You're not a shark. Turn in your fin. And you bring up a great point. Absolutely. Each, and we're going to go into, because you're a realtor, and it's almost become a cliche that people in the restaurant business, servers, bartenders, whatever, they get into the realtor business. But one of the keys to being a great server and being a table shark is reading your table.
Yes.
if you got the young couple that's having their first date, you know, maybe you want to make a joke or two and that's it, and boom, you're out. Then you get the family who's, you know, whatever. Every table has a different read to it.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's what I was going to say. It's like, obviously the transition from realtor to from service industry to realtor is a natural one. It's like you said, it's almost a cliche at this point. And there's, of course, there's the customer service side. Of course, there's the sales side, but you nailed it. It's it's because I rack my brain. I'm like, why do people do this? Why is that such a natural progression? And it's the ability to read a customer, a would-be client. It's that reading that is just so crucial that you learn, because again, you only have so much time to do stuff with every table and with every client.
Yep. And we went out
management, all that stuff.
We went out to cut 432 the other night, and I got to say we had a great experience, and exactly everything you talked about. The guy was a table shark. We need to get him we need to come out a little award or something for all the table sharks we know.
Yes.
I was on our table, jumped on us, got our drink orders in, suggested, you know, stuff right off the bat. Everything I said, oh yeah, that's great. I really love, that's my favorite dish. Or, you know, when I order stuff, that's what I get. Just really engaging, but not over the top. Like you said, you don't want your campers and you don't want to overly engage people. You know, I was there with my family. We wanted to have a good dinner, but he was all over it. You know, when we were done, I got to say, they had two guys descended on our table, pulled all the plates off, wiped everything down between every course. You know, I enjoy that experience. You know, that's the kind of experience I've come to expect when I go out. You know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's like there's suggestive selling and then there's overselling. So it's like, I don't like being oversold. I don't know anybody who likes being oversold, but at the same time, they have to tell you what the specials are and what, you know, even what their preferences are, but that's not necessarily, they don't have to push it on you. So it's that level of service is, you know, I always say, like, I always sell what I want to sell. I would go in some restaurants, I would go in and be like, what are we getting rid of tonight? And then I would sell 5 of them that night, because it's, you don't push it. Like, you know, again, this is a very unique sales situation where you have your customer sitting right in front of you. They're going to buy, you know, they're going to buy. So it's, what are you selling them? Like, you might be better off, instead of selling them a 20-ounce steak instead of a burger, sell them an upgraded burger. It's about, again, it's about that read. It's about not overselling them. And if they think you're just trying to push something on them to pay your bills or to win a contest, it's not going to work.
Oh, it gets reflected in your tip too. Usually, you know, they usually go, "This guy's trying to con me out of," you know. You're absolutely right. You know, that's. And maybe a lot of people who are not in the business pre-shift, that's usually where they'll say that. Chef will be like, listen, I got four orders of grouper. I got to get rid of them. You know, let's push the grouper tonight. I'll let you know when we're 86th or whatever it may be. And it's always the same servers who would be able to sell it because they had it in the front of their mind and they knew to recommend it and who to recommend it to. And like you said, getting the sale without being too pushy. So I don't want to get into realtor yet. I want you to get your stuff in about your group page. It's called Table Sharks, right? If you want to look it up.
And look for this card. This, everywhere I go, I'll drop this here's your QR code right there. I'll drop this for the bartender, server, whoever gives me some great service, so the group could grow. And check that out. On the back, it's kind of hard to see, but on the back, it's a map to fold this in order to stabilize the table at the restaurants, because these servers have a hard time with, like, the wobbly tables. Like, I can't tell you how many coasters perished or bar naps or bev naps have perished because of a wobbly table. So this kind of takes care of that. And I leave this where I go. I'll give this to anyone who gives me great service. The group is a private group. So it's not really for, you know, every Johnny and Jane out there. It's for people who are either A, currently in the South Florida service industry, or B, used to be in the South Florida service industry and get it. It's really for people who get the industry. It's remnant of In the Biz magazine that I used to work for, that was and still is a huge community down here. It's actually an idea. It's a concept that was born down here through my old boss, Sharon Ives. And they basically, the restaurants will do specials and they'll welcome in industry professionals, and it'll almost be like a circle where, you know, Monday night you'll go to Johnny's bar, Tuesday night you'll go to, you know, Susie's pub, and you guys, you all meet up and everyone's friends. And, you know, a lot of that is how these people get out of the industry and find another job. It's almost like a networking event nightly. So that's by far my favorite part of that industry was going out at night. That's why, me and you, we think about getting back into the industry. It's like, well, I don't really want to get wasted every night, but I want to work, So that's a huge part of the industry. And down here in South Florida, we did capitalize on that properly. Unfortunately, that magazine has gone the way of the dodo, but the idea and the concept and the spirit of the in the biz community is still alive and well. I know a bunch of places that do specials and still cater to that community, whether they, announce it loudly or not.
Well, yeah, Kapow does a great Monday night. We were talking about that, but I love what you said because it made me reflect, and you're absolutely right. I got my real estate job working for Carl DeSantis. Carl DeSantis used to come in every Tuesday night into Ceviche, which was the restaurant I was managing at the time, and I got to know him. And he was just a funny guy. He was a great guy. He cracked me up because he would only come on Tapas Tuesdays because that was when we had our tapas on sale. The guy's a billionaire. He would only come in on Tuesday because the tapas were on sale, but then he'd order a $150 bottle of wine to go with it, go figure. But he was a great, great guy. And he told me, when I came back, my original plan in 2010 was to get into real estate. But somebody told me the Breakers was hiring. So, I'm sure you remember this or you got the story that you always seem to get pulled back in. It's like the Al Pacino in Godfather 3. Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in because you have a certain talent skill. And when you're good at it, I interviewed like 8 times, no lie, with the Breakers and finally got hired. And I thought, oh my God, this is great. But then once I got in there, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I'm more of a hard rock guy. That's where I went. I ran nightclubs. I'm used to a little different kind of a crowd. So after a while, that's when I moved to Ceviche, which was the old Falcon House, which is now Death or Glory, which is where I'm going to be later on tonight, trying some Girl Scout cookie drinks. But yeah, that's where I met Carl. Carl had a real estate company. He goes, well, if you ever get into real estate, I want you to come work for me. And I did. I went and I worked for him. And then I kind of found my way out of that. And I've worked for Practice. I've worked for Native in Fort Lauderdale. And now I'm with Atlantic Commercial Group. But so what is it you think about being in the restaurant business? Were you a server or a bartender?
I was both.
Okay, you were like
me. I enjoyed serving they're obviously easy to compare and they're very comparable, but it's night and day. Like serving is so easy compared to bartending. Like I respect the bartenders' hustle. Like when I was a server, I used to give a hard time to the bartenders. Like, where's my drink? What's going on? Like, come on, like I could do it better. And then I started working as a bartender and I was like, oh, I get it. So I used to say that was my penance for the way I would, demand from my bartenders. I became the bartender that I wanted to have as a server. It wasn't appreciated as I might have appreciated it, but.
What do you mean by that? You gave service a priority?
Yeah, I gave service a priority. Like, I would read every ticket. Like if there's any issues, I would see the server. Like I would make sure I would triple check before I would tell them we didn't have anything, that kind of stuff. Like,
or you let them know early you don't have it. So they're not sitting there waiting. Exactly. And all of a sudden they come up and you're like, oh, we're 86. We don't have it.
Yeah. Right. And I would prep my ass off. Like I would prep it was, but the place I worked at happened to be a very service bar heavy place. So it was like, not every job is perfect and not every, management and ownership is going to take care of you. That's why it's like with this because there is a renaissance in this industry, whether we want to admit it or not. This is, this pandemic has created a renaissance. So
what do you mean by that?
Like just that the industry is going to change. Like people are going to, I think overstaffing was one of my biggest issues with this industry. And I have a feeling that that's going to go the way of the dodo with, eventually the minimum wage being raised, but really people aren't going to be on staff if they're not full time. Like if they're not getting an honest wage or it's you get a new job and you're like, hey, I can only do like 3 or 4 shifts a week. Within 2 weeks, you're scheduled for 4 or 5 or 6. Like it's like overscheduling was such an issue. And if that could go away, then servers have a shot at actually getting a decent living and earning a decent wage from this industry. So, we'll get into it another time, but the 20% mandatory tip needs to come into effect. I mean, depending on the kindness of people, the goodness of people's hearts for people's livings is crazy to me. But that's a whole nother legal rabbit hole we got to go down.
You bring up a great point, because I considered myself a table shark, and my benefit to the manager was he knew he could load tables on me and I would take them. So if he wanted to cut the floor early and I was working, he wanted to save on his labor cost or whatever for the week, he knew I was one of his guys. It was like me and a couple of other, I think it was a couple of girls and me and myself. When we went down to closers, which for those who don't know, going down to closers is basically, when there's no line at the front anymore and the hostess has gotten everybody seated and things have kind of slowed down, we go down to closers, which means certain sections get closed and only one section's open. And then it's like 2 or 3 servers will take every table from then on in to close out the night. It usually means you're the last people out, you're the last ones to go. Sometimes you like closing, sometimes you don't like closing. Usually at the end of the month when you need to make rent is when you like to close. But yeah, certain managers would come up and say, all right, listen, if you're going to close, I'm going to go down to closers right now because I know you'll be able to handle it. Not only that, they know if you're not able to handle it, you'll go to them and say, listen, I can't, this table's really running me ragged or whatever may happen. But yeah, to your point, yeah, bringing labor down. And I get what you're saying as far as servers, overstaffing. If you're a good server, you don't want 3 tables, you want 5 tables.
Right.
I want 5 tables.
Scheduling. I mean, we all know, like in the industry, every manager hates to do the schedule. Like it's like it's like cleaning the toilets for management, basically. So like, they all hate it. Like some of them will even. I've even worked at places where they'll like dump that on like they'll call a server a lead server and say, all right, you're the lead server, now do the schedule. Yeah. So it's like it comes down to good scheduling. Like if management can make a proper, solid schedule, there's no such thing as overscheduling anymore.
That's hilarious. You're absolutely right. So you've been in the real estate business how long now?
5 years.
5 years. And
yeah.
Tell us about your transition over. How did that work out? And tell us about that first.
Yeah. Well, the transition was great at first because like you said, I developed all these skills. So I figured,
They're called soft skills, I think they call them now. Like on LinkedIn, I'm always saying, oh, I'm really good with the soft skills. And somebody was like, there are no soft. Those are hard skills, man. That's
yeah, exactly. I didn't know that that's what they were called, though. I got to Google those, what those 2 definitions are. But yeah, like it's, all right, so the progression was natural. And, I knew a bunch of people who had done it. I actually worked, when I first got my license, I worked with Kurt Lehman, who's in the biz legend on Atlantic Ave. That's my boy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I followed his, footsteps. I worked for him. And what it was not only did it help me get into the industry, but it also helped me kind of enter the industry where I had a living for myself at night. And during the day, I was able to kind of build my clientele and do the real estate thing. Like that's another reason why I think it's so popular for service industry people is it's a day job. That with very minimal like oversight and pressure, depending on what brokerage, but you could do your thing in the day, you come in at night and really also like if you get a phone call after 5 o'clock as a realtor, which is not unlikely, you can kind of walk away from the floor for a minute and answer it too. So it works in conjunction with real estate works in conjunction with the industry, even once you become a realtor. So that's what I liked about it too. And it's a way to, I met so many people, so many of my clients have been from the industry. Like I'd say most of my clients have been from the industry. So whether it be at a restaurant, I met them, or I work with them, like whether they have been a guest or have been a coworker of mine, the majority of my clients have been from there. So it's just, to me, they work hand in hand, and I just wanted to, get in there and hold hands with them.
So you worked for Kurt. I know, Kurt was talking. I remember when I first moved back here in 2010, he was bartending at the old Falcon House. And he was like, I really don't need to, but like you said, it's a great place to network. It's a great place to meet people. If you are looking for a home or you're checking out an area, you're going to go to a bar usually and have a drink and talk about the homes you saw or the reason why you're looking in that area. So yeah, it's a great point that you that you take up right now. Are you worried at all about the next 5 years of real estate? Obviously, Florida's on fire right now when it comes to residential. Do you see anything changing, or do So I remember living in Vegas, and I lived in Vegas from 2004 to 2010. And so I was there for the up and then the down. And when we were at the up, like you said, and like I'm seeing right now, it seemed like every server, every manager, every bartender was becoming a real estate agent. I'd go to bars and the guy would tell me, hey man, I'll handle your mortgage for you. You want to do a refi? You know, the guy behind the bar was a mortgage lender. And I'm starting to see all that again. I guess my question is what do you feel about the business going forward as far as real estate?
I think that my real fear, because again, Florida is exploding, but my fear is that Florida is going to price itself out of the U.S. market. That's my real fear, is that prices are going to get too high down here where people are going to say, screw it, I'm going to Arizona or something like that. You know, that's because it's not a bubble. It is a bubble, but it's not a burstable bubble. It's not something that's going to crash. It's just something that, you know, might plateau and slowly decline again. But I do have a real concern about the prices down here for my people up in Jersey and New York, I talk to a lot of them too, who are thinking about coming down. I worry that the prices are going to get too much, to not even to where they're out of their price range, but they're like, no.
I can get more value somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if I go to Texas or Arizona or somewhere else, I can get more value for my buck. But you're not going to get the blue water. You're not going to get the 78-degree water here. Right. You're not going to get Marc Litt to be your agent.
And that's the thing too, is that, you know, tourism, and let's face it, tourism means hospitality. It's the same thing. So the tourism and hospitality industry down here is, you know, taking a beating, but as long as that comes back, there's 1.5 million reasons to be in Florida.
Yes, absolutely. My personal story, I came back after 30 years, moved back in 2010 after spending, you know, graduating high school in the 80s, left, and then came back, and I absolutely love it here. I think we got the best of everything, you know, especially in Delray. We have that combination of urban, meaning we got the best restaurants, we got the best bars, entertainment, especially for a guy like me who's in his 50s. You know, I don't hit the clubs anymore. I used to spend my life in the clubs, running them. So I really feel like Delray, you know, not a lot of big buildings here. You know, I worked in Fort Lauderdale for a while. That's more of a metro kind of feel to me. You know, so I think we do in Delray, we get that best of both worlds. But you focus a lot of your attention in Boca. And what do you see going on in the Boca markets right now as far as residential? A lot of people coming down from the Northeast, as usual. But is it really ramping up right now? Do you get a lot?
No, it really is ramping up. Like, the people who are thinking about selling are nervous because they don't know where to go. So, you know what I mean? If they sell, they have nowhere to go. But it's like, I mean, honestly, I've told a couple of people, I'm like, just sell it, because the price, there's certain areas that, you know, there's just no supply. So it's like, just sell it in rent. Who cares where you go? But that's not everybody wants to do that. But it's, yeah.
My wife and I have discussed that. We're like, this is crazy what Lake Ida's going for where we are. And we're like, well, what would we do? And it'd be like, well, we'd sell and we'd sit on the sidelines for a while, I guess. And, you know.
Count your money. Get a money bin like Scrooge McDuck. Who cares? Get rid of it. But I do think it's going to go up more. I don't think it's done going up. I think it's, you know, it's about to peak, but I don't think it's peaked quite yet.
What do you think would turn the market around? We've got the vaccine coming out right now. Yes. We've got all this stuff so it seems like Texas just opened up today or yesterday. The states are starting, I think, you know, either by mutiny or by decree. It seems like a lot of the states are starting to open up. How do you see that affecting the Florida market?
Everything I've read, and this goes to the hospitality industry and real estate. Everything I've read says the same thing. Nothing's going to get normal until the vaccine starts to make the rounds, and the vaccine's making the rounds. So it's, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everybody who has gotten it already, but they're in line. They're getting it done. Like, so as soon as those vaccines have kind of circulated and made their thing, they're saying the end of the summer should be, you know, the closest thing to what we're going to call normal moving forward. So, you know, I'm thinking, like you said, Texas, I think today or yesterday just announced that they're done with all regulations of masks. Okay.
So I think it's funny now because I've been going out lately, and you know, I'm seeing a lot more seniors. I'm seeing a lot more older folks out. I was at the Sail Inn the other day, and and I saw somebody, and we were, I'm very respectful when I put the mask on. When I go to the bathroom, and I try to do the right thing. And I saw this one woman who was old, a little older, and she was, kind of cavalier. And then we got into a conversation, and she's like, "Well, I had the vaccine." So I think have you seen this where it's like these people that have had the vaccine are like walking around like, "I'm back in action, man. I'm going out. And I don't know if that's mixed reports whether they can get it again or not get it again.
Right.
But I think people that have been locked up that have had the vaccine are coming back out with a vengeance, with full pockets, and if they want to party, they want to go out, they want to eat, they want to drink.
I'm glad to see they're feeling good about themselves, but really I think that works a little better when a few more people are vaccinated. But yeah, that's what we're all going to be like soon. It's just, it obviously takes time to get it all, administered, but that Johnson & Johnson, that's one shot. I like that twice as much.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mark, I really appreciate you getting back here. If anybody doesn't know, like I said, it was Table Sharks is the page. I guess you got to be a former server to get on there. Don't worry.
You might even be able to snap that QR code right there. Bing. But yeah, it's Table Sharks - South Florida. Private group. I'd be happy to let you on in, especially if you saw it from this broadcast. Thanks so much for watching.
Awesome stuff. Anything you want to leave everybody with? Obviously, you're with location. You do a lot of stuff in Boca Raton. If someone's looking to buy or sell, give you a call.
Yep, buy, selling, renting, wanted to invest, let me know. 732-991-6353. But join Table Sharks. I'm there. I got a permanent reservation at that table. So just come see us. Come say hey.
Awesome stuff, Mark. I really appreciate it.
You got it, John. Appreciate you.
Take care, brother.